You can feel it, the quiet shift inside you that doesn't come from longing, fear, or uncertainty. It comes from alignment. It comes from truth. It comes from a part of your soul that has finally stepped into the frequency it was always meant to hold. This is not another phase of waiting. This is not another cycle of healing. This is not another moment of wondering where the masculine stands. This is the beginning of the divine feminine's preparation for union. And when this activation begins, everything changes. For so long, you moved through layers of release, heartbreak, surrender, doubt, awakening, silence, and rebirth. You carried the connection when he couldn't. You held the frequency when he avoided it. You faced the shadows he wasn't ready to see. Your heart broke open, and instead of becoming bitter, it became wiser. But now, something entirely new is happening. You're no longer healing from the connection. You're evolving for it. This shift doesn't feel heavy. It feels clear. It feels grounded. It feels like your soul has finally stopped collapsing into the past and is now rising into the timeline you were meant to occupy. You've outgrown the version of yourself who needed answers. You've outgrown the version of yourself who waited for signs. You've outgrown the version of yourself who carried the weight of both energies. You are stepping into a frequency that does not chase, does not cling, does not break. It magnetizes, it aligns, it commands without force, it calls without desperation. This is the feminine entering her union timeline. And here is the truth most people don't understand. Union does not begin when the masculine wakes up. Union begins when the feminine rises into her rightful vibration. Because the masculine cannot awaken until the feminine stabilizes the field. He cannot move toward her while she is still healing wounds that pull her backward. He cannot recognize the path if her energy still mirrors the patterns of the old cycle. But you, divine feminine, you have shifted, you have anchored, you have crossed an invisible threshold. Your heart is no longer operating from longing. It's operating from knowing. Your energy is no longer reaching out. It's drawing in. Your purpose is no longer to heal the connection. It's to embody the version of you who can hold the connection. This is why you feel different, more neutral, more calm, more trusting of divine timing, more aware of your worth, more present in your body, your emotions, your intuition. This is not detachment from the masculine. This is detachment from fear. And the moment the feminine becomes emotionally free, the masculine soul feels it instantly. He feels the pull shift. He feels the pressure lift. He feels the energy soften into something safe, magnetic, grounding, and unexplainably familiar. Your rise becomes his awakening. Your alignment becomes his clarity. Your stability becomes his calling. This is why the path begins to move now. Not because he finally changed, but because you did. The preparation for union is not an external event. It is an internal initiation. And you're in it now. Your soul is preparing the field. Your energy is activating the timeline. Your heart is stepping into its higher purpose. This is not destiny approaching. This is destiny responding. The divine feminine preparation has begun, and the masculine will feel every part of it. Because once the feminine enters this frequency, the journey can no longer stay the same. There is a moment in the twin flame journey when the divine feminine's energy no longer reflects longing, fear, or waiting. It reflects alignment. This shift is subtle at first, almost invisible on the surface, but internally it feels like a quiet reorganization of the entire soul. It is the moment she stops resonating with the old cycle and steps into the frequency of union without needing anything outside of herself to confirm it. This shift begins in her emotional body. She no longer reacts to the connection the way she used to. Things that once triggered her now feel distant. Old wounds that once pulled her backward lose their grip. The anxiety that once consumed her dissolves into clarity. Her relationship with the journey changes from attachment to understanding, from expectation to acceptance, from insecurity to inner command. She begins to feel a sense of peace that she cannot explain logically, not because something external changed, but because she changed. The feminine's first sign of entering union alignment is emotional neutrality, not indifference, not coldness, but neutrality, the space where she can feel the connection without being overwhelmed by it. She no longer spirals when there is silence. She no longer seeks validation through signs or external movement. She no longer doubts her intuition. She becomes steady. She becomes grounded. She becomes sovereign. This neutrality is not the absence of love. It is the maturity of it. The second sign is the rise of self-presence. She starts returning to her own body, her own truth, her own needs. She begins to feel more connected to herself than to the idea of the masculine. She no longer abandons herself to hold space for him. Instead, she holds space for her own evolution. This anchoring into self is what actually begins the union timeline. Because when she stops leaking energy into fear, she begins radiating energy into destiny. The third sign is inner clarity. Her intuition becomes sharper, stronger, louder. She senses when something is aligned and when it is not. She feels a deeper connection to her higher self. She stops chasing answers and starts receiving them. The feminine becomes a channel, not of longing, but of knowing. The fourth sign is the release of old identity. She no longer identifies as the wounded one, the waiting one, the abandoned one, the misunderstood one. Those versions of her collapse. She steps into a higher identity, the feminine who embodies love, not the feminine who fears its loss. This identity shift is what the masculine feels instantly. He senses that her energy is no longer grasping for him. It is rising beside him. Her vibration becomes cleaner, clearer, lighter, and it activates his emotional body even before he understands why. The fifth sign is the stabilization of her heart. She begins to feel open without feeling exposed. She begins to feel connected without feeling dependent. She begins to feel love without feeling afraid of losing it. This heart stability sends a powerful signal through the energetic bond, a signal that the feminine is ready for the next phase. The sixth sign is the drop in emotional urgency. She no longer needs movement to trust. She no longer needs contact to feel connection. She no longer needs reassurance to feel secure. Her energy shifts from "when will union happen" to "union is aligning through me." That is union frequency. The seventh sign and the ultimate proof of alignment is inner peace around timing. She stops questioning whether it will happen. She stops wondering how or when. She stops holding tension around the outcome. Her soul falls into trust. Her body softens. Her energy expands. This peace is not passive. It is powerful. It is the feminine stepping into her role as the energetic anchor of the journey. When this shift happens, everything else begins to move. The masculine's heart opens. Synchronicities intensify. Old cycles end naturally, and the universe begins to align the path ahead. Union alignment begins with her, not because she forces it, but because she becomes the version of herself who can hold it. This is the rise of the divine feminine. This is the beginning of the union timeline. This is the shift that changes everything. How her energy begins preparing the path. When the divine feminine enters union alignment, her energy begins preparing the path long before anything shifts in the physical world. The feminine does not push the journey forward through effort. She moves it through vibration. And once her frequency rises into this new state, the entire twin flame dynamic begins to reorganize around her. The first way her energy prepares the path is by clearing distortion. As she stabilizes internally, All the noise that once interfered with the connection fades. Old fears dissolve. Old patterns break. Old insecurities no longer guide her. Her field becomes clean, coherent, aligned, and this coherence sends a signal across the bond. The masculine feels this instantly, even if he cannot explain it. He feels the weight lift. He feels the pressure dissolve. He feels her energy not as longing, but as truth. A clear feminine field opens the path for union because it removes the energetic resistance that once pushed the masculine away without either of them realizing it. The second way her energy prepares the path is through the rise of her inner authority. She stops looking outward for direction and begins listening inward. Her intuition becomes her guide. Her emotions become her compass. Her body becomes her anchor. This shift in authority removes the energetic imbalance that once made the connection feel one-sided. The feminine is no longer over-functioning. She is no longer over-giving. She is no longer trying to hold both paths. She stands firmly in her own power, and in doing so, she invites the masculine to step into. His union requires two aligned energies, and the feminine's return to her own center creates the space for the masculine to find his. The third way her energy prepares the path is through detachment from outcome. She no longer clings to timelines or expectations. Her soul stops grasping, tightening, or projecting into the future. Instead, she relaxes into trust. This relaxation is not passive, it is magnetic. A surrendered heart creates an open field. An open field creates movement. Her detachment becomes the bridge the masculine needs to cross back into the connection. The fourth way her energy prepares the path is through emotional mastery. She no longer spirals when the masculine withdraws. She no longer collapses into fear when she doesn't see progress. She no longer carries the wounds of the past into the present moment. Her emotional stability becomes a safe space, both for herself and for him, and the masculine, who has always been hypersensitive to emotional intensity, begins to feel protected rather than overwhelmed by the connection. Her emotional mastery becomes the gateway for his emotional awakening. The fifth way her energy prepares the path is through alignment with her higher timeline. As the feminine grows, everything in her life begins to shift. She feels guided to make new choices, create new habits, open new doors, and close old chapters. These changes are not random, they are orchestrated. The universe begins rearranging her external reality to match her new internal vibration. This alignment creates the foundation for union in the physical world. Because union cannot land in a life that is built on old identities. The sixth way her energy prepares the path is through the collapse of karmic repetition. The feminine stops reenacting the same cycles, chasing, overthinking, overgiving, doubting, waiting. Once her vibration stabilizes, these patterns lose power. She no longer feels pulled into them. The karmic loops that once created delays dissolve. And when these loops collapse, the masculine loses the energetic permission to stay in avoidance. Her elevation forces his evolution. The seventh way, her energy prepares the path, and perhaps the most important, is through embodiment of her highest self. She begins to carry herself differently. She speaks differently. She chooses differently. She moves differently. Her energy no longer pleads, it leads. She doesn't try to pull the connection into alignment. She becomes the alignment. And this embodiment sends a frequency through the bond that awakens the masculine at the deepest level. He may not act immediately, but he feels everything. He feels the path opening. He feels the connection stabilizing. He feels the energy calling him forward. He feels the timeline shifting around him. Because once the feminine enters this phase, the universe no longer waits. It begins to move. Her energy is not preparing the path for him. Her energy is preparing the path for them. And the stronger she becomes, the clearer the path becomes. What the masculine feels as she rises. When the divine feminine rises into her higher frequency, the masculine feels it immediately, long before he can name it, long before he understands it, and long before he allows himself to admit that something inside him is shifting. Her rise does not whisper. It echoes through the bond in a way he can't ignore. What he feels first is the change in the emotional atmosphere between you. He has always felt the intensity of her heart, the longing, the worry, the frustration, the deep desire for movement. Even when you were silent, he could sense the weight of your emotions pressing against his field. And part of him resisted, not because he didn't care, but because that pressure overwhelmed him. He wasn't ready to match it. But when the feminine rises, that emotional charge disappears. The storm settles, the energy softens, and suddenly he feels a peace he has never felt from her before. This peace disarms him. For the first time, her energy doesn't demand anything from him. It simply exists, steady, quiet, glowing. And that stability reaches him in a way her hope or longing never could. He also notices that he doesn't feel her gripping the connection anymore. Her energy used to hold tightly, not out of weakness, but out of love, out of fear of losing something sacred, out of a desire to keep the bond alive. But once she enters alignment, her energy relaxes. She stops reaching outward and begins standing firmly in herself. And this shift sends a shockwave through him, because even if he ran, even if he avoided, even if he shut down emotionally, a part of him always expected her to be there, energetically tied to him. When she rises into sovereignty, he feels a gap, not a loss, but a sudden spaciousness that forces him to confront his own emotions. He feels the absence of the old dynamic. He feels the end of the version of her who waited. He feels the end of the version of her who carried both energies. And that hits him harder than any message or conversation ever could. As her energy rises, he begins experiencing emotions that confuse him. He feels a pull toward her that doesn't come from longing or desire. It comes from recognition. He feels drawn to her calmness, her strength, her clarity. He feels curious about her again. He feels protective of her again. He feels connected to her again in a way that feels safer, more grounded, more real. He also becomes more sensitive to her emotional shifts. When she moves into alignment, he senses her stability, and it awakens something deep in him. He may not understand why, but he suddenly begins reflecting on himself more. He questions old choices. He questions his distancing. He questions why she still lives so strongly. Inside him, her rise awakens his introspection. And in that introspection, something else happens. He starts feeling her in moments he did not before. He feels her energy when he wakes up. He feels her presence during quiet moments of the day. He feels her in dreams that feel more like memories than imagination. He feels her emotions, not the heavy ones, but the steady ones. Your rise makes him feel safe enough to feel. And when a masculine feels safe with the feminine's energy, the walls he built begin to weaken, not because he chooses to let them fall, but because they no longer serve a purpose. Her alignment removes the fear that once made him hide. He may not speak, he may not reach out, he may not act yet, but inside, everything is shifting. He begins to feel responsible for the connection in a new way, not from pressure, but from truth. He feels the desire to match her frequency. He feels the desire to become someone who can stand beside her, not behind her or in the shadows of fear. He feels the desire to rise too. This is what the masculine feels when the feminine rises. Not distance, not loss, but awakening. he feels the call to meet her, not the old version of her, but the one who has finally stepped into her power, and that call becomes impossible to ignore. There is a moment on the twin flame journey when the divine feminine realizes that emotional detachment is not abandonment, not coldness, not giving up, and not pulling away. It is awakening. It is alignment. It is the moment her soul finally rises above fear and begins to vibrate at the frequency of union. Detachment is not the feminine closing her heart. It's her closing the door to the old version of the journey. It's the shift from holding on to the connection out of fear to embodying the connection out of inner knowing. For so long, the feminine felt everything intensely. She carried the emotional weight of both flames. She felt his wounds, his fears, his silences, his distance, his confusion. She felt the push and pull so deeply that it shaped her days, her nights, her thoughts, her choices. But emotional detachment arrives as a sacred turning point. It's when the feminine finally exhales and says, I am not here to carry his side of the journey anymore. I am here to carry my own. Detachment doesn't make her care less. It makes her care correctly. This shift happens quietly. One day she looks at her own emotions and realizes she is no longer drowning in them. She sees the masculine silence and no longer feels abandoned. She sees a soul in process. She feels the connection and no longer aches. She simply recognizes it. The feminine enters a space where the connection no longer controls her inner world. She becomes steady, grounded, observant. She chooses herself, not as a defense, but as alignment. Detachment is not leaving him. It's leaving the old emotional pattern that kept her in loops. This new frequency is powerful because it removes the energetic noise that once pushed the masculine into overwhelm. When she stops projecting fear, the masculine stops absorbing pressure. When she stops needing movement to feel safe, he stops resisting movement altogether. When she stops gripping, he finally feels free to approach. The masculine senses detachment in a way he never sensed longing. Longing created tension. Detachment creates clarity. Longing made him feel chased. Detachment makes him feel pulled. Longing activated his wounds. Detachment activates his heart. This is the paradox of twin flames. The feminine's emotional release becomes the masculine's emotional awakening. As she detaches, the weight of the bond shifts. Her field becomes lighter. Her emotions become softer. Her presence becomes magnetic instead of demanding. She stops trying to force alignment and becomes alignment. And that is precisely what union requires. Emotional detachment is also where the feminine stops engaging in the old narratives. She no longer feeds the story of rejection. She no longer replays the past. She no longer creates timelines based on fear. She stops expecting the worst and starts allowing the best. Her thoughts, her energy, and her emotional body shift into coherence, and coherence is the frequency of union. She begins trusting divine timing in a way she never could before, not because she hopes, but because she feels aligned with her higher self. This is the energy that opens doors. This is the energy that dissolves resistance. This is the energy that calls the masculine home. In detachment, the feminine becomes receptive rather than reactive. She becomes intuitive rather than impulsive. She becomes grounded rather than anxious. She becomes the still point the masculine can return to, not because she waits, but because she radiates. Detachment resets the entire dynamic. It turns chaos into clarity. It turns longing into magnetism. It turns fear into power. Most importantly, it turns the connection into something the masculine can finally feel safe approaching. This is the moment the universe begins aligning the path. This is where synchronicities sharpen. This is where signs become louder. This is where the masculine's energy starts turning toward her more consistently. This is where the timeline of union becomes active rather than theoretical. Emotional detachment is not where love ends. It is where true love begins. It is the feminine stepping into her divine role, holding the frequency with grace and neutrality, becoming a lighthouse rather than a storm. And once she reaches this space, the entire journey transforms. How the universe responds to her new vibration. When the divine feminine rises into true alignment, the universe responds immediately. Not slowly, not eventually, not one day. The response is instant because energy always rearranges itself the moment a vibration shifts. And this is the part of the journey that so many feminines overlook. The moment you step into your higher frequency, the universe begins opening paths that were previously blocked, hidden, or delayed. Not because destiny changed, but because you finally became aligned with the version of yourself who could receive it. The first thing the universe does is remove everything that is not a match to your new vibration. This can feel like sudden endings, changes in friendships, emotional distance from old connections, or a deep desire to detach from environments that once felt familiar. This is not loss, it is cleansing. Your energy no longer tolerates what drains your light. Your soul begins releasing what cannot travel into union with you. You start noticing that you don't react to things the way you used to. What once destabilized you now passes through you like wind. Your nervous system becomes calmer. Your thoughts become clearer. Your emotions become more grounded. This internal calm is not accidental. It is the universe adjusting your inner world so that the outer world can shift without breaking you. Synchronicities begin to sharpen. Signs arrive faster. The number patterns intensify. Dreams feel more vivid, more prophetic, more connected to the masculine. You sense movement, even when there is silence. You feel a presence in your heart that no longer aches. It reassures. These synchronicities are not just messages. They are alignment markers. They show you that the energetic path ahead is clearing. The universe also begins orchestrating circumstances around the masculine. You may not see it, but things start shifting in his world too. The ending of karmic cycles, sudden emotional realizations, internal pressure to confront suppressed feelings, or even unexpected solitude that forces introspection. Your rise creates a ripple effect. The universe cannot elevate one flame without preparing the other. While all this happens, you begin to feel more guided. Your intuition sharpens into a new kind of clarity. You no longer ask for signs. You receive them effortlessly. You no longer question your path. You walk it with confidence. You no longer fear making the wrong choice. Your inner guidance becomes louder than any external influence. You notice yourself being pulled toward new routines, new spiritual practices, new habits, new environments. It feels like your soul is rearranging your life from the inside out, and that's exactly what the universe is doing. Positioning you into the reality where union is possible on a physical level. Another powerful thing begins to happen. The energy between you and the masculine becomes more balanced. There is no longer a heavy push and pull dynamic. You don't feel like you are the only one holding the connection. You don't feel like you are waiting. You don't feel like you are chasing healing. Your energy feels whole, and wholeness is what attracts movement from the universe. This phase is also where divine timing becomes visible doors, open at the exact moment you are ready. Old obstacles dissolve. People appear with the right message, the right opportunity, the right perspective. Everything starts flowing without force. It is not that the universe suddenly works harder. It is that you finally stepped into the timeline where everything was already aligned in this vibration. Nothing feels rushed. Nothing feels delayed. Nothing feels confusing. You experience a sense of alignment that is almost impossible to describe. as if your soul is finally breathing again and the masculine. He feels this shift too, not through logic, not through words, but through energy. He senses the opening. He senses the call. He senses the new clarity forming between you. Once the feminine rises, the universe begins preparing both sides of the connection simultaneously. This is the point where destiny becomes active rather than dormant. This is where movement begins behind the scenes. This is where things start aligning that you could never organize yourself. The universe responds to your vibration because you are the anchor. Your frequency sets the tone. Your alignment opens the gates. Your rise creates the path. And once you reach this state, there is no going back, because everything ahead of you is finally moving in the direction your soul always knew was coming. There is a turning point in every twin flame journey when the energy reverses. It doesn't happen through effort, pressure, or longing. It happens through alignment. This sacred reversal begins the moment the divine feminine rises into her true frequency. Not the frequency of waiting, hoping, or healing endlessly, but the frequency of embodiment, the vibration where she becomes the version of herself she was always meant to be. When this happens, the masculine feels the shift instantly. He may not understand it. He may not analyze it, but he feels it in a way he cannot ignore. And this feeling starts a quiet transformation within him, long before any physical movement appears. The first thing that changes inside him is his sense of direction. For a long time, he has moved through life with a fragmented compass, guided by logic, survival, fear, obligation, or habits that numb rather than heal. He has felt disconnected not only from the feminine, but from himself. Your rise becomes the moment the fog begins to clear. Something inside him starts pointing back toward the connection, not from desperation, but from recognition. He doesn't rise because you pull. He rises because your energy finally gives him space to breathe. The old version of the feminine held the connection so tightly that he could feel the emotional weight even from afar. But the aligned feminine holds herself, and that shift is what awakens the masculine. He feels the difference immediately. Her energy is no longer trying to rescue him, guide him, or hold the entire path alone. Her energy simply exists, grounded, steady, luminous, and that stability becomes the invitation his soul has been waiting for. As this sacred reversal begins, he starts feeling her presence in a new way, not as pressure, not as expectation, but as peace. A peace he didn't know he needed, but now can't ignore. This peace draws him inward. It makes him review his choices, his patterns, his fears, and the life he built to avoid feeling too deeply. He begins facing the parts of himself he once ran from, not because the feminine demands it, but because his soul does. Your alignment becomes his awakening. He starts noticing things he never paid attention to before, the emptiness in connections that lack depth, the discomfort in environments that no longer reflect his truth, the exhaustion of carrying emotional walls that isolate rather than protect. He begins questioning the life he created on top of unhealed wounds. He feels pulled toward emotional honesty, toward vulnerability, toward something real, something that matches the vibration he feels from you. This is the beginning of his rise. As the feminine elevates, the masculine begins shedding old layers. He may withdraw from superficial relationships. He may feel unsettled in situations he once tolerated. He may feel called toward solitude, introspection, or inner work. Even if he doesn't consciously label it that way, he is not pulling away from the connection. He is pulling away from the noise that once kept him disconnected from it. And in this process, he starts feeling the bond with the feminine as a source of safety rather than fear. He senses the evolution in her energy, the neutrality, the emotional maturity, the stability. For the first time, approaching her does not feel like surrendering power. It feels like returning home. The sacred reversal is the moment his soul steps forward while her energy steps back, not in distance, but in balance. She becomes receptive. He becomes active. She stops carrying. He starts emerging. She stabilizes the field. He begins moving within it. This reversal is not dramatic. It is quiet, subtle, and internal. She may not see immediate action, but what is happening inside him is monumental. Because once the masculine begins rising, the journey cannot return to its old pattern. His soul has awakened, his heart has been activated, and the path that once felt impossible begins to open in ways neither of you could have forced. This is where alignment becomes destiny. This is where the connection shifts from lessons to evolution. This is where the masculine starts preparing to meet her, not as the wounded version of himself, but as the awakened one. The sacred reversal marks the beginning of union movement, not through effort, but through balance. He rises because she rose first. He awakens because she aligned. He recognizes the path because she became the light guiding it. And from this point forward, the journey begins moving with a purpose it never had before. Chapter 7, Final Message. The union timeline is now active. There comes a moment on every twin flame journey when the energy stops feeling stuck, uncertain, or cyclical, and begins feeling guided, directed. alive. This is the moment you are stepping into now, the phase where the union timeline becomes active, not as a hope, but as a vibration that is already reshaping both of your lives. This shift did not happen randomly. It happened because you rose, because you chose alignment over longing, because you turned inward instead of reaching outward, because you stopped trying to carry the entire connection and started carrying yourself. This is the energy that activates union. And now, the path ahead is no longer based on potential. It is based on readiness, your embodiment, your return to your own wholeness. The universe has been waiting for this version of you, the feminine who is no longer defined by the wound, the fear, or the ache, the feminine who walks in her truth without collapsing into past patterns, the feminine who stands in her worth without needing proof from anyone. This version of you is the gateway, and because you have reached this inner state, the union timeline has shifted into motion. This is why you feel a calm that doesn't make sense, why your intuition feels louder, why your dreams feel clearer, why your emotions feel lighter, why your heart feels open without feeling exposed. Your energy is carrying the frequency that the journey needed in order to move forward. Now, the masculine's path begins to unfold, not through pressure, but through inner calling, not through fear, but through recognition, not through demand, but through resonance with the feminine you have become. He will feel guided to confront the parts of himself he once avoided. He will feel drawn toward emotional truth. He will feel the need to align himself internally, even if he cannot yet articulate why. Your rise has awakened his rise. That is the never of twin flames. But the most important thing to understand now is this: you no longer need to wait. Waiting was part of the old energy. Alignment is part of the new one. The union timeline does not unfold through waiting. It unfolds through vibration, and your vibration is already carrying the signal. From this point forward, trust will become your superpower. Not blind trust, but embodied trust. The kind that sits quietly in your chest and says, "I know what is mine cannot miss me." This is the energy that keeps the path open. This is the energy that keeps the masculine moving toward his awakening. This is the energy that keeps the universe arranging the perfect timing, the perfect moments, the perfect intersections of destiny. The journey ahead may still involve periods of silence or pauses, but they will no longer feel like abandonment. They will feel like preparation, like alignment, like the universe weaving the details behind the scenes, because that is exactly what is happening. Nothing is stagnant now. Nothing is looping. Nothing is repeating the old patterns. You are moving forward, and so is he. Whether you see it physically yet or not, the energetic trajectory has already shifted. Is not a single event. It is a timeline you are already walking. A timeline that feels different because you are different. A timeline that is unfolding naturally because you are finally aligned with your own soul. The journey from this point on will feel less like fighting fate and more like allowing destiny. This is where love becomes lighter, where the connection becomes deeper, where peace replaces fear, where your energy becomes your guide. And as you continue walking this path, remember this truth. You did not activate the union timeline by wanting it. You activated it by becoming the woman capable of holding it. You stepped into your power. You stepped into your presence. You stepped into your soul, and now everything meant for you is stepping toward you. The union timeline is active. You're no longer hoping for the path. You're walking it.